Hey guys, how you guys doing today? Is you guys doing because today is Wednesday, and I thought I would kind of talk about a few things, especially when it comes to insurance and Tricare and dealing with civilian insurance, because I've had both, but I've also had civilian doctors and regular doctors from Tricare. So when I first started out my journey, Bethesda, which was a very new hospital that was just built for the military down where I was living in Virginia, and Walter Reed were the two major hospitals. And the reason I moved over there, besides my best friend lived there and I was going to stay with her, is because those were the two biggest military hospitals I could get near while my husband was starting his military career and wouldn't be there to help me. So we went to see the actual. I'm putting this first, so if anybody is anywhere near as large as I was, you'll have a little bit of heads up. I was over 500 pounds. I'm going to put over 500 pounds, and I'll explain why just later. So let's start at the very beginning. For me, when I first got Tricare, and even before that, doctors were talking about having surgery, but I didn't have insurance. They were like, you need surgery, that would save your life, you would feel much better, whatever. So here's the thing. So I had to talk to a primary care physician. Here they're called primary care managers, but the first one that I was assigned to was a DIAC. Yeah. She talked down to me the whole time. She very much had fat bias, and really, when I asked, because the entire reason my husband went into the military was to save my life, and what was going to save my life was going to be weight loss surgery, losing weight. Good. So over 500 pounds, need some help here. So after like 3 or 4 times of me seeing this person, and then them just being incredibly rude and refusing to give me the referral to go see a bariatric surgeon, because that's what I had. That's normally you have to have, depending on what insurance you have. But I know for a fact, Tricare, you have to have referrals to see damn near anybody and everybody. So I finally switched to a nurse practitioner, and she was amazing, super sweet, gave me hugs. Now, when I talk to a surgeon, we're always on the same page. I'm just talking to you guys like I talk to them, because I feel that it's important for, if someone is going to treat me, they need to know me. So that is one of the biggest things I like to tell you guys, besides we all need some therapy up top, is that if you're going to have doctors, you need to make sure that and you feel it down in the subcockles of your heart, that they are there for you and you are not just a number, and that they are not biased against you. You need to feel like when you walk into their office that they have your best intentions in mind, and that you're always on same page, just like you guys, we're on same page. So for my insurance, I had to be turned down by both of the bariatric surgeons in both of those two places that I talked about earlier, Bethesda and also Walter Reed, which is incredibly embarrassing. So what I did in order to save me from going in and having them, pretty much laugh me out of their office, because they were like, no. Where I was staying, and what was mostly being told to me, is that Tricare doesn't, there. Now this is Tricare East, not Tricare West. I am now on Tricare West, which is different. So I wanted to put that out there as well. At that point in time, 4 years ago, I do not know what it is now, and feel free to write below if you have Tricare Prime or Standard, and you know that has changed. I would love to hear that it's changed. That the military doctors would not touch you if you're over 400 pounds. Now that was true when I was going through it, because I had talked to many times, and I would call their office to make an appointment, and I would ask, I'm like, I'm over 500 pounds at least. Will they see me? And the receptionist would switch me to one of the nurses, the nurse practitioner or whatever it is, the bariatric nurse. And I would talk to them for a few minutes, and I'd be like, look, I'm in a wheelchair, I definitely need weight loss surgery. I have a referral, but I don't want to waste my time and energy, because both of these places were over 30 minutes to an hour away from where I was staying. So I don't want to waste my time and energy going somewhere if they're not going to see me. So I was told explicitly that they were not going to treat me, that I would just be wasting my time, that I need to lose at least 100 pounds before I can even make an appointment. Now, you're telling this to somebody who is over 500 pounds, who has been living in a wheelchair for many years, who can barely stand, who can barely go from the bathroom and her bed back and forth. Well, and about 100 pounds come back. I'm sorry, what? Pardon? Excuse me? Baking powder? I don't think I heard you. So, now, what I did was, and this is something that you might need to do, I went out of network. Out of network means that anybody else in the civilian realm or doctor or whatever, as long as they take Tricare, I can apply through my referral to go see them if they have an opening. So I started calling every bariatric clinic that I could find until I found one that said that they would see me. I said, if you'll just see me and talk to me, you will know why I'm coming to you. You will know that I have motivation. You will know that this, because people hear 500 pounds and they're like, yeah, about that. Because severely, morbidly, super obese people are hard to operate on, so they didn't want to do it. But I found a doctor, and his name was Dr. Dodkins, and he's in Woodbridge, Virginia. If you guys ever want to go to Blue Surgical Medical Group, fantastic place. I'm going to tell you now that if you're going to go the civilian route, which is not Tricare, which is maybe what you have with your normal insurance, if you're not a military spouse or active duty, whatever, then you're going to have to pay co-pays, which I did. I paid $35 a visit, and I had many visits. I also had to pay $750 for their classes. Again, Tricare does not pay for that unless you're using a military doctor. And then I also had to pay $750 out of pocket. Now it was not reimbursed, for me. So I had to pay $750 out of pocket for their OptiFast system, which they wanted me to do 2 weeks of a liquid diet with. Now, that ended up being 5 weeks. So they were going to charge me again, but because they changed the date of my surgery from it was supposed to be August the 13th, it ended up being August 20th or 30th. August 30th, I think is when I had it. I can't, it's 4 years ago. I barely remember my name half the time, so you'll have to excuse me. Now then, when I finally got in there and saw him and gave them my deposit and all of that good stuff, which was not easy because my husband, we were just starting to get checks, and it was very hard because he was living in Pensacola at that time. I was living in Virginia. He was in tech school. It was really hard to save up that money, but we managed it. So after I put down all that, then I could start going to the classes. So I went to orientation, and then I finally got to see the nutrition classes, and then I got to talk to the doctor. So you may be required to do many things before you even get to see a surgeon, and that's normal. That's not a terrible thing. So please don't, if they don't immediately say you're going to see the surgeon tomorrow, that's not a bad thing. Some insurances require you to be under medical supervision for 6 months before they'll on a regiment, on a diet, to try to get you to lose weight and show your insurance company that you are serious about it. and it's also good for you for surgery, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So anyway, so I finally got to see my surgeon, and it was not easy because I was the biggest patient they'd ever had. When I got on their scales for the first, I'm going to say 2 or 3 months, it said error. And this is a bariatric clinic. Dang it. A bariatric clinic. So they have pretty heavy duty, scales. So I like to say 523 because that was the first time I was able to be weighed. So I'm sure it was not 523 when I started, because they said it went up to 550. But we're not going to go there. I'm just going to say I weighed 523. Just leave it at that. So, just like I thought, and just like a lot of people, I was required to lose weight. Now, you're going to ask me how to manage that. I went on Weight Watchers with my friend Janet that I was living with at the time. I was using their point system, but I was going to the gym 6 days a week. And when I say 6 days a week, I mean 6 days a week. I was wheeled in with my gigantic wheelchair to the bathroom, and then, I would go and change my clothes into my bathing suit, and then I would go into the water. And for the first month and a half to 2 months, I had to have help getting in and out of the water. I took every class I could. I was completely motivated, completely serious. That is the kind of person I am. When I get something in my head, I normally will shoot for it as hard as I possibly can until I burn out. Because that's how I work. So, I'm going to ask how I lost it. 72 to, I think it was 72 or 74 or 76 pounds. I don't remember. It's been a long time, and I don't math on this channel, so don't expect it. So I was required to get down to 450 pounds before they were going to work on me. They wanted to do it laparoscopically, but they said they might need to open me up if the fat around my organs and if my liver was too large. Now, when they first measured my liver, which was one of the very first things I had to go get done, was an ultrasound of my stomach. It was massive. It covered. It was huge. Now, that's called fatty liver disease. That's also just called fatty liver, which means that your body and the fat that you're eating is not being filtered and processed correctly by your liver. Therefore, your liver gets hard and clogged, so it's not working very well. So that is something that you definitely want to think about when you go and see your doctor. And if you're told that your liver enzymes are wonky and you have fatty liver, that is definitely something you want to get fixed, one way or the other. So, having said that, okay, I'm back. Having said that, the next start of my process was I needed to, number one, be expected to lose weight. Then I had to go through all of the tests. Now, not everybody and not everybody's insurance is going to require you to have weight loss of your own. Depends on how big you are. It depends on the insurance, and it also depends on the surgeon and the doctor. Okay, so don't think that just because this is my experience that this is what you're going to have to go through. But I do want to prepare some of you, if this is what you're going to have to go through, know exactly what to expect. So then started all the testing. So I had to have full blood panel. I had to have an EKG, which is for the heart, an EGD, which goes down into my stomach. And then I had to have, because I have asthma, I had to have a pulmonology test. I had to go to Walter Reed and see a pulmonology specialist to clear me for having, because I had, hopefully I don't have any more, sleep apnea. I had to go for 2 different kind of sleep tests. I had to be put on a BiPAP machine. Lord, I went through so much. I saw a cardiologist. I had to be, I had an ultrasound of my heart because they wanted to make sure that my heart wasn't, it was pumping correctly, that I didn't have any blockages, etc., etc., etc. Because they were dealing with somebody who was so incredibly large. They also wanted to make sure I didn't have diabetes. They also wanted, Yuki, what are you doing? You're gonna fall off the couch. That's my dog. So if this is the first time you've seen any of my videos, that's one of my dogs. And she's about to fall off the couch. I don't edit much. Nope, because this is life. So anyway, the full battery of tests. And the reason I'm going to go through this is because it's completely different where I'm at now. The amount of testing, the amount of issues that I had the first time around, because I have gone through the process 3 separate times. So if you are not going through a civilian, if you don't have to worry about going through all these tests, thank your lucky stars, because Lord knows it was a pain in my tuchus. It took me months and months and months and months to get everything cleared. It took me constantly calling my insurance company. It had me constantly calling my doctor's office. It had me constantly on the phone almost every single solitary day, because I was working on a deadline. I was trying to get my gastric bypass done before my husband was done with tech school. That didn't happen. My husband actually spent a couple months longer in tech school because of the fact that they messed up where they were going to send us. They were going to send us to Minot, and Minot does not have the right facilities to take care of somebody like me. So that was not an option. So our orders got all kinds of screwed up the first time around, but that's not something you need to worry about. So if you're not a civilian doctor, then you might not have to go through all of those little steps to ensure that if you're not that big, you might not have to go through all those steps. So now let's talk about my doctor now. Not doctor now for my 600-pound life, but my doctor that I have now. So now I'm at a regular medical facility, one of the biggest military hospitals there is. That's why they sent me up here, is because I had a lot of issues, and this was the best place for us. And it kind of worked out for the best for me and Matthew, because this is where he was originally from. So it was a twofer. Matthew is my husband. He is currently in Korea. So if this is, again, one of the first times you've ever been on my channel, yes. My husband ain't here. This doctor, completely different. I mean, 100% different. I first saw one, and his name was B-A-I, and luckily for me, and I say this with all honesty, luckily for me, he moved on. Because when I first went in there in 2013, when I first got 2014, yeah, because we moved January 2014 back to California. We were staying in Dover, Delaware, which is a whole new amount of issues that you don't need to hear about, because that's not part of this story. If you want to know all about my strife and trouble and everything else, there are plenty of videos, like 750 of them for you to go through. Enjoy. So, and they're labeled pretty well, so you'll see. Now, I also am squirrely, so I eventually get to somewhat of a point when I remember it. This doctor I have now, I saw one before, and he got deployed, so that was amazing, and then he moved on to a different place. This doctor that came in, his name is Dr. Rollins. He's at David Grant Medical Center. He is amazing. He is one of the best surgeons I've ever met in my entire life, and he is one of the kindest surgeons, again, that I have ever met, and he really cares for his patients. But he's not lax. Like, he's not like, I'm not going to expect you to do what you're supposed to, because he will eat your face. Like, he really will. Like, people like to make him out like he's the bad guy, because he's honest, and that's what I really like. I like honesty. I like to go in the doctor's office and he's like, what have you been doing? Why Why did you gain so much weight? What are you eating? Why'd you do that? Why? I like that. I don't need sugar coating. Like, I eat enough sugar on my own. I don't need somebody else to coat it for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me to have this doctor and everything, it was amazing. I found him. He treated me well. He gave me respect right off the bat. My dog is being weird. Yuki! Stop trying to fall off the back of the couch. So I went in for a revision with this doctor. I got the band over bypass. Again, if you want to see all that horse malarkey, I went through other videos, not this one. He made me go through his classes. Okay, so I had to do the whole process all over again. I had to go through his nutrition class. I had to see, you know, the PT downstairs to make sure that I was physically able to go through it. Even though he knew I was, he wanted to put it through to Tricare that number one, that I went through everything that they asked me to, which was a psyche valve, even though I'd already had one before. But, you know, they really wanted to make sure that they were getting their point across. So I had complications with my original gastric bypass. Look at other videos. Which is the only reason I was able to get revision, etc. So let's not worry about that, because that does not pertain to you. Now, what pertains to you is if you are in this area, if you see this doctor specifically, you go through one class now, because I've been through it twice. You go through one nutrition class. You see the PT downstairs, I think, still. I didn't have to do it this last time. You get an EGD, which again is the camera down your throat. You might have to have I know you get an EKG. They look at all your blood work, and then you're pretty set to go. There are many people who I know who've gone through the process who've gotten it with like 2 or 3 months. I'm not bitter. So it really, really depends on your doctor, who you see, what your body type is like, how much you weigh. It will determine all of these things. How much of if you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, you have to have a lot of things written off saying that you understand, and you will still not be ready. You could do all the paperwork. You could read every book that's ever been written, and you'll still not be ready for weight loss surgery. You will still not be ready for it. I promise you, with every fiber bone in my body, from the top of my hair all the way to the bottom of my feet, you will not be ready for what is coming. You just won't be. So it doesn't matter how many classes you take, you're not going to be ready. There's no way to prepare yourself. I guess it's kind of the same thing like having a baby, you know, or having major surgery of any kind. You know, you think that you're prepared for it, you know what to expect, and then not so much. So Tricare is taking care of me. If that's the route you have to go, I would do everything that your doctor is asking as fast as humanly possible in order to get your surgery date so you can be done with it, instead of having to do how I did, which took me doggone near, you know, nine months to get it fixed. Well, no, 10. It took me 10 months in order to get my gastric bypass, where most people now are getting it within, you know, 4 or 5 months. So I hope that helps some of you guys out. I hope that this helps explain kind of the system of how it works, and not to be so scared and intimidated by it, because all of these tests and everything are for your benefit. Losing weight beforehand is definitely for your benefit. It's not just because they're being mean. It's because it's going to shrink your liver. It's going to help remove some of that fat around your organs. It's going to help you breathe better. So when they put you under, you know, it helps in all areas. And the smaller your belly is, the less fat that you have like on top of your belly, like the easier it is for them to do the laparoscopically instead of having to be opened up. So that's the kind of things I really wanted to kind of get into. I wanted to explain those. I'm going to do another kind of like beginner series because I haven't done it in a while. And there's more things that I've learned. So as I learn through the years, I continue to pass out the information. So I love your beautiful, gorgeous, amazing faces. Please put down below if you have any other questions that I could possibly help you answer about the beginning of the process that you don't think that I explained well enough, or something that you just genuinely need to hear how it really works, and I will be more than glad to get back to you. It's a very good subject, so I'm really passionate and excited about it. And I will talk to you guys again tomorrow. Mwah. Bye.